You are tuned in to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebs and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and enthogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck, Rico Lamitte, and Nicole West, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, September 28th. This is International Pokey Day, World Rabbis Day, National North Carolina Day, National Drink a Beer Day, National Strawberry Cream Pie Day, National Good Neighbor Day. Not Labor Day, but Neighbor Day. And thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. We're live every Monday through Friday on YouTube and audio only on Clubhouse. And if you are joining us on Clubhouse, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand if you have a brief comment on the story most recently presented. But coming up first, we have the dope dad himself. When he is not taking care of babies, doing dope dad shit, changing diapers, and playing with macaroni and paste. You can find him doing those exact same things at a TEDx convention where the grown-ass adults love to play with macaroni seashells too. When he's not doing all of that, that's right, he's constantly brushing up on his football, collegiate football skills, because all he's really good at is backpedaling on safe banking and safe banking plus. But nonetheless, it is the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
There's no backpedaling on safe banking plus, Jason. You goddamn lie. But thank you for that otherwise amazing intro. Welcome back, everyone out there watching, listening, and getting high at 9 with us yet again. It's Wellness Wednesday, and the headline I'm covering comes from the Las Vegas Review-Journal by Taylor Avery. Cannabis testing company may lose license for falsely inflating THC levels. Higher THC levels does not mean that you're consuming better quality cannabis, and it most likely won't give you a better high either. Seasoned operators, educators, and connoisseurs alike will tell you it's all about the terpenes, baby. Cannabis consumers paying a premium for higher THC flowers like hitting the liquor store ahead of a date night and picking up one of the finest bottom shelf eighths of grain alcohol with a price tag on par with Macallan 18. This here's 180 proof, baby. It's the good shit. But what happens when the customer tells you that's exactly what they want to pay extra for? And if it ain't enough real 44% THC lab-tested flower out there to supply the demand, companies like Cannex Nevada are fucking around and finding out. Per the article, a Las Vegas-based facility and intentionally manipulated testing results will likely face disciplinary action after the Cannabis Compliance Board voted unanimously to reject Lettuce Test LLC's motion to dismiss disciplinary action against the company that could see it lose its license and a possible 10-year industry ban. Cannex Nevada LLC first faced a CCB complaint in January 2021, listing over a dozen violations found by state inspectors. Per the article, the complaint detailed instances where the company intentionally passed samples tainted by microbial contaminants and falsely inflated THC levels. Lettuce Test argued the charges could be dropped, and they should be dropped in part on a technicality alleging the violations occurred prior to the board's formation. So they've got no authority to even charge them. Board members ruled Lettuce Test did not provide strong enough argument to get them to beat the case. So here we are. All this comes after Nevada previously suspended the same operator twice for compliance violations, once in 2019 and again in 2020 after finding retail dispensaries were selling tainted products passed by their lab. A meeting date to address the action will be set after the official order to dismiss is signed by the Nevada CCB. There's Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. I'm interested in hearing what everybody else has to say about this one, especially Nicole Buffon, because you're out there on the streets of LV. What you got for us?
So what you have to understand about the Las Vegas market, thank you for this story, Rico, is that they are radiating flower out here. And that was something that we recently learned about. And it was very interesting because now they have to put labels on radiated flower here in Nevada.
Radiated?
Yeah, I know. I was actually at the CCB meeting yesterday making public comment in support of GLP, which is Green Life Productions. They are an organic no-till soil grow here in Nevada, and they are the premium top product shelf everywhere you go in any dispensary. And they make their own compost. They're really dope. And so the CCB has been fining them for using ladybugs and worms as pesticides. And so it's because those regulators don't understand the plant, they don't understand the product, and they just recently have forced these producers and manufacturers and cultivators to start labeling their radiated flower, but they're punishing GLP for using natural organic ways of growing and processing the flower because GLP doesn't have to radiate it. So I mean, this is nothing new. This happens all over the country with these people testing high on THC and putting on labels, whatever their false reading is. But it's a shame that it's happening in Nevada because Nevada is one of the states that mandates terpene testing. So we should be having that conversation about terpenes and not the THC level. So that's just a shame. It's a shame.
I agree with you on the terpene portion, Nicole, but Nevada has a piss poor job of labeling those terpenes, even though it's part of their requirements, in a way to where it makes it engageable for the consumer to really understand it.
I agree with you. Absolutely, Jason. There should be more information about terpenes in the packaging for Nevada. Like packaging is determined in every state, whatever the quality regulations are for those packaging. And you're absolutely right, Jason. I think that they should put more emphasis on the terpene profile. Since you have to print it on every label, you might as well be talking about that and not the THC.
You might as well make it in a digestible form for the consumer. I mean, we're teaching them something about things that they know about, but they know nothing about, because everyone knows what things taste like and what things smell like, and that's what the terpenoids bring. And or at least the terpenoids bring the smell, not the flavonoids bring the flavor.
So here comes some shameless self-promotion. I actually started a show about this because I just got completely fed up with the THC buying. It's equivalent to buying night train or Schlitz malt liquor instead of buying like high quality wine.
Right. It's like dropping $60 on some fucking Boone's Farm, man.
Yeah. So I have a show on YouTube here, and what we do is I go and I buy flour with my own money from different stores completely anonymously. I bring it back here, and then we do the Emerald Cup flour review style where we go through the look, the smell, the touch, and we teach people how your eyes, your nose, and your fingers are the first three most important senses, and then your tongue. And then after the tongue, it's not just does it taste good, but also does it burn the heck out of my throat. And so we're trying to fill out and let people understand that really what we're trying to do is get high, not get effed up. Getting high is getting activated so you can really dig into life and be more effective instead of getting effed up and just checking out from life.
So, Mr. Count of Saint Germain, this is something that I learned. the immortal Count of Saint Germain. This is something that I learned, coming on the legal side of the industry about 6 years ago. I didn't really know anything about like terpene profiles or anything like that. Shit, when I was selling weed in Chicago about 20 years ago, like I didn't even know what the fucking strain was, man. We were selling purple tops, we were selling fire, kush, with a dro. But like, how do we get this mass education out to people? Because as new states come online, like you're looking at indica sativa, which is some bullshit, and you're looking at THC, like the highest THC demands the highest price. How do we on a massive level start to really chip away at that? Because marketing companies are eating that up, and all the testing labs, they're kind of in a fucked up place still. Like I am not like calling for the protection of any of these testing labs like at all, but they're in a tough place when they have competition, and you got like JoJo's testing lab across the street is going to slap 30% THC on whatever comes through there because people are paying a premium for that. Like,
so
how
so Alec Dixon, So Alec Dixon at SC Labs is working with the state of California and Michigan, Colorado, a couple other states to start a uniformity of testing and a certification.
Shout out to Alec.
Yeah, because that has been the problem is if one lab starts boosting the numbers a little bit, then all the labs run and start boosting the numbers. Otherwise, they lose business. They're going to go out of business.
So race to the bottom.
What's that, Nicole?
So comment here. It says, how do you want to feel should be the question. And he's
correct.
Absolutely right. What do you want to do? Do you want to go out and party tonight? Are you going on a hike?
Should Candescent?
Yeah, but if
Candescent be applauded for their marketing, saying like this is the calm, this is the uplift.
No, I think that really
doesn't that come into making claims? Doesn't that come into making claims though? Isn't that create a liability for the brand?
So what I'd say is the biggest thing with taking a terpene and calling it calm is that because of our different biochemistries, terpenes will have different effects on people. So if we let them know what the terpene is, what the major smell is, then you can know what the effect is for you, and you can look for the terpene that provides you the effect that you want.
Absolutely right. You're right. And then once you start mixing these terpenes, once they, come in different formula mixtures, then they will have a different effect for each individual as well. So you're absolutely right. You can't say that myrcene is going to make you go to sleep, because if you mix myrcene with limonene and put some terpenoline in there, it's that you're probably not going to sleep.
100. Right. Exactly. Yep.
Man.
Yeah. I think this is what I saw is when legalization happened in California. Really, the entire consumer knowledge base went back to about 1992 when we were just flooded with BC and a lot of unsmokable hydro weed. Right. And it's really just up to each of us, this program, my program, each of us when we're in the public space, to just continue to push the knowledge forward and share this knowledge with people, because I think that it will catch on, and it's really just a matter of time. We're in such an infancy moment here in this
industry,
new weed world.
That's right.
Do your research, man, and know, especially if you're using cannabis as medicine, know what's actually in that product before you put it in your body. Mm-hmm. And we need testing labs to hold each other accountable. I want them to start snitching on each other instead of these retailers.
I mean, this isn't anything new though. I mean, this is happening in every single state and every single lab that I know of like this. And so, is this going to be the start of the crackdown on labs?
No. I think labs is the focal point. I think this goes back to last year when the DEA quietly said that by the end of 2022 they are going to have standards for hemp testing. Read between the lines. DEA approved lab testing for hemp. Hemp is also what? Hemp is fucking cannabis, and
it's all cannabis sativa L under the Controlled Substances Act.
Watch. That's my personal opinion. That's my vision. I don't see it going any other way, and I don't see these testing labs going any different. They're just going to get funded by the government. There's more and more corruption where that comes from. I can't wait for the future. Jason, the best weed in the world is that high THC.
The best weed in the world is, I don't know what you would define as high THC, because I think all the numbers are total bullshit, and I never base my cannabis consumption based off of an antiquated THC number. I am more like Toucan Sam, where I am going to follow my nose. Okay.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. And it has everything to do with whether or not it burns my throat. I
100.
Well, in all fairness, 99% of the weed in Nevada is going to burn your throat.
Hey. GLP does not burn my throat.
All that salty weed.
I will stand up for GLP. Their flower is never dry. And
you down with GLP? Yeah, you know me.
Fuck the CCB.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh boy.
CCB, we love you.
Boy. Not touching that.
Indeed. Let's keep it rolling here. Unless we got any other questions. We good on Clubhouse?
Let's roll.
All right. Up next, it's another story from the longest continuously operating retailer in the industry, better known as White Gucci in Detroit, where cats get locked up for smoking CBD. In his spare time, he enjoys smoking the best weed in the world and somehow believes the best path forward in ridding the world of all booth remnants and all related byproducts worldwide is passing of safe banking. I don't get it, but he does. Jason Beck, what do you have for us today?
Well, that's because we must pass safe banking already, Rico. I mean, it's pretty common sense kind of thing. But nonetheless, thank you so much. That was a fantastic intro. Today, my story comes out of Las Vegas, Nevada, where Nicole Buffong is, because there's and just precursor for this story. This story is involving alcohol in the beginning, but comes to cannabis at the end. So I don't want people to start thinking that this turned into the alcohol news. But and I do think that it's important for everyone to know because we have MJ Impact going on right now. We have MJ Biz coming up in a short amount of time. So all of the cannabis people in the world will be conveying on Las Vegas at some point in time this year. But today, Las Vegas DUI suspects are subject to immediate blood draws as of October 1st. Beginning next month, anyone suspected of driving under the influence for DUI in Las Vegas can have their blood drawn on the spot. That's when phlebotomists will patrol with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department 7 nights a week to collect blood samples at traffic stops and accidents. I wonder why they didn't say in the morning, too. Do they not get DUIers in the morning? The new program is funded by a $545,000 grant from the Nevada Office of Traffic Safety, the NOTS, which cites impaired driving as the leading cause of fatal crashes in Nevada. The program enables phlebotomists to ride with the police sergeants and deploy to DUI stops or accidents as needed. It's also paid for by a specially equipped police blood draw van. Police prefer blood tests to breathalyzers, either of which may be administered after a DUI suspect fails various field sobriety tests, because only blood tests measure the presence of both alcohol and drugs, including cannabis. Sometimes, some studies show that breathalyzers also are unreliable, with a margin of error up to 50% compared to blood tests. DUI suspects can refuse a field blood test and opt to take one at the jail, where police will transport them upon refusal. If they continue to decline any blood draw, officers can get a warrant from an on-call judge to force one. Currently, the blood-taking medical specialist will work 10-hour shifts for Metro on weekends and holidays only. In the past 5 years, nearly 43% of all crashes involved DUI, according to the NOTS. Nevada law gives, 2 hours is a big thing in Nevada with DUIs, because Nevada law gives police 2 hours from their initial contact with a DUI suspect to collect a blood or breath sample. Otherwise, they can't use the test as evidence in a DUI case. If the police can't beat the clock, an expert witness must help prove the suspect was intoxicated while behind the wheel. All of that is just too resource intensive for misdemeanor arrest and prosecution, Las Vegas defense attorney Thomas Mokel told the Las Vegas Review-Journal earlier this month. Phlebotomists began riding with officers as volunteers back in 2018. The position became paid 2 years later as part of initial $250,000 NOTS grant. And here's where the cannabis portion comes in, everybody. Cannabis is a whole can of worms is closed in Nevada. Until last year, anyone driving in Nevada whose blood contained 2 or more nanograms per millimeter of THC, the psychoactive compound in cannabis, or 5 or more nanograms per millimeter of cannabis metabolite, was considered legally impaired in court. Suspects were not allowed to argue that they were not impaired because of a built-up tolerance, or that they hadn't consumed cannabis in days or even weeks and showed no outward signs of impairment. Last year, Nevada Governor Steve Sosiak signed Assembly Bill 400 into law to address this issue. It requires prosecutors to prove cannabis impairment through additional means other than a blood test, such as driving behavior or a field sobriety test. Well, I wonder what kind of field sobriety test they're really going to administer to determine cannabis intoxication. I know I was pulled over one time by a California Highway Patrol officer who told me that I was intoxicated and asked me to stick my tongue out, and proceeded to tell me that my tongue was green because I had been smoking cannabis. To which I said, that is just batshit craziness. He ended up letting me go, but also told me that he did not believe that I had just I had just he did not believe that I had not smoked, but he also did not believe that I was too impaired to operate a vehicle. So we shall see. And this is Jason Beck reporting for High at 9 News.
How is this
man.
legal? How's this America?
So
Right.
first of all, I'd like to shout out the Chamber of Cannabis. I sit on the board of directors for that organization. We lobbied to get 2 bills passed last year or in 2021 for the legislative session. That was AB 341, which legalized consumption lounges in Nevada, and AB 400, which reformed the DUI bill. So we spent a lot of time on the language for this bill. And it sounds like this this addition that they've added, that the police have added by allowing phlebotomists to drive around with them, is another way for them to get people caught. Because a breathalyzer does not allow to test for cannabis or THC, and they don't technically have any road test to determine what determines if you are too intoxicated to be driving if you consume cannabis. And so one of the things that we volunteered to do with police officers is a study that happened in Kansas recently in the last 2 years, where people like literally took a bong hit and then did some road tests with police officers to try to determine how intoxicated they were. So like you would take a bong hit, and within 30 minutes, you would like do different tests that determined your ability to drive or intoxication level. And so this research was done previously. And so we volunteered, the Chamber of Cannabis volunteered to do this type of research with our police officers and public safety officers here in Nevada. So this is a shame that they've added this law onto, or this, regulation onto the bill, trying to get people caught up, because even if you do a blood test, any patient in Nevada is going to test positive. It doesn't say what the nanogram level is that you're looking for. Are you looking for any presence of THC? Well, shit, if you work in a dispensary, you're probably going to have some remnants of THC in your system, even if it's not activated, even if you're not high at the time of the arrest. So this is a shame. I tell people, just deny the test. You have the right to deny the test. They've got 2 hours to try to get you to take it. Just stall as long as you possibly can. That's my advice.
That's what I was going to say, Nicole. If this happened to me, I would instantly start my stopwatch for 120 minutes. And like that would be the thing. Deny. The law shall not apply.
Do we have any lawyers on the stage or in the audience that can speak to this? Like, what can you do? Because
we do have Dr. Felicia up to speak about this a second. So I think it'd be really good to have a doctor's perspective on this.
Yeah.
I can hear you, but I don't know why.
She's a little quiet.
It's not feeding. Yeah, it's not feeding into the restream.
Okay, for a minute, well, I'll just go ahead and say my comment. This law is unfortunate regarding cannabis. The way it is written so far, it looks like the only thing someone can do is invest in an expert witness who may be able to testify for them at trial that the level of cannabis in the blood does not equal impairment. That's the only thing you can do at this point. But this is not good for cannabis. The blood test may be good for other things.
Dr. Felicia, can you rewind that statement, because I'm going to hold the phone to the microphone because we're having a little audio issue. I apologize.
I was stating that this law is unfortunate in Nevada because it's not going to work for cannabis, as you were saying. There's a difference between a level of cannabis in the blood and impairment. The two are not equal, and so until we can figure that out, any type of sobriety test on the road for cannabis is not going to be accurate, and it's going to be a disservice and a tragedy for anyone who's pulled over and booked because of their blood level of cannabis.
It's going to lead to targeting.
Well, not only that, but I also wonder in a big way how legal this really is, and I just wonder how much is Nevada going to spend in legal bills with lawyers attacking this, because I think it's kind of unconstitutional in a sense to be able to just say, oh yeah, we can draw your blood. I mean, like when you sign up for a driver's license, it doesn't say in the fine print that all of a sudden you give up your rights. In that sense. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I don't know.
Right.
No, and not only that, Jason, you have to consider, it says 48 hours that they have to draw your blood. So if you stall, and you stall long enough, you should be able to meet that mark. But it says they have to get a warrant, so they have to prove that you are able to do it.
I agree with you, Jason. That, profiling could lead to a lot of other things, and drawing someone's blood is very invasive.
This is
Exactly.
just all bad.
This is a whole can of worms. I am glad the fact that cannabis is not included in this because of that recent signage of the bill by the former governor of Nevada, Steve Sisolak. So shout out to him. We appreciate Sisolak, right? Sisolak.
Yeah,
not to be confused with Similac.
Cadillacs on tracks.
Yes, or Cadillacs, any of that
Yo,
crazy.
I have an idea for this, which is they should take the highway and state patrols of most of these states and bring them to the Emerald Cup flower judging. Watch us smoke 70 joints over 12 hours, and then run us through some driving tests and watch us just be bosses.
Have you guys do some autocross?
It's funny you mentioned those driving tests, because I believe that there was a driving test that was being conducted, and this was the smartest driving test that I've ever heard of, that actually made the most sense to actually source for like real impairment. And it was basically like a VR machine that you would put over your head. Okay, and you would be driving in a video game, and what it's doing is measuring your eyes' reaction to different things around you, and making sure that you're like in the right mind state to drive. And to me, that makes the most sense. And like, I'm totally for the cops having like a little VR thing, you know what I'm saying? Little headset, put it on.
Are you drunk?
Boom.
Play this game real quick.
Play this game. Play this game for 5 minutes, and you'll get a score. And if you don't score below this, then you're screwed.
I'm down.
Exactly. Oh, there we go. She's back. Where'd you go, Nicole?
I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a delay, so I had to. But yeah, I agree with what you were saying, Jason. I mean, I think that this could be very dangerous for targeting for people of color. This could be an added for people, a reason for you to pull you over. And also in Nevada, the judge determined a couple of weeks ago with that case with the ACLU to take cannabis out of a Schedule I filing for the state of Nevada. So this is just another way, because what that does is that means that these police no longer have probable cause, because if cannabis is no longer a Schedule I drug, you can't pull someone over or search their home or house or person for suspecting them having cannabis on them, because those are some of the repercussions that come from this ruling.
I just think it's all bad. It's increasing overreach, and people are going to get targeted. And all you're going to have is, like, on the back end of this, you're going to have communities that are most affected by other things, heavy-handed by the police, are going to be most affected by this. You're going to have a bunch of lawsuits on the tail end, and I just feel bad for Nevada, the state of Nevada, because this is going to come out of your tax dollars.
It's without a doubt, bro. Without a doubt. Well, that was a great story, great feedback, everyone. Thank you so much for your comments. We are going to go into today's first commercial. Welcome to Los Ashes, the headiest city in America. Los Ashes is a 10-pound smokable city curated and created by the world-renowned roller Weavers. In the past, Weavers has amazed cannabis lovers with his roll jobs, such as a smokable 5-pound rocket launcher and the 10-pound Darth Vader. But now, Weavers is rolling an entire city. Have your business featured in Los Ashes with a ton of different sponsorship opportunities available. Contact Weavers at smokablecity.com for full sponsorship information. The thoughts and opinions and shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of any other speaker or its followers. The statements made do not constitute legal or accounting advice, and our speakers make no representation regarding the legal status of any substance in any country, area, or territory, or any of its authorities. The views expressed in this room do not establish any fiduciary relationship. Our sponsors do not imply or constitute any endorsement by us or the expression of any opinion whatsoever on the part of any speaker on stage. If you are an easily offended person, this show is probably not for you. Also, fuck off. Flying into LAX and you want to taste some of the best weed in the world? Then stop by LAXCC, the closest dispensary to LAX, located at 8332 Lincoln Boulevard and open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Always make LAXCC your first stop when you touch down in LA and score like a winner. And don't forget to tell them I sent you and mention you'd like to get high at 9 for 10% off your full order.
Fuck on.
Oh, yeah.
He's a cannabis wizard doing his damnness to continue the work of the Merry Pranksters and the Brotherhood of Eternal Love. Alongside Hogwarts PhD and Trippin' Balls, this co-host of What's Good, the Cannabis Flower and Hash Review Show, and host of the Radio Free Earth podcast, boasts over 33 years in the game for sales, genetics, and cultivation. Coming to the stage next is the immortal Transylvanian Count himself, Matthew St. Germain. What do you have for us today, my brother?
Hi, all. Thanks for that, Rico. Man, 33 years makes me feel old these days. So I'm really excited about this article. It's from Ganjapreneur. Hempcrete as a building material has been approved for U.S. residential construction. This is something that a lot of us have been wanting and talking about for a long time. So hempcrete was approved for the Model U.S. Residential Building Code during a hearing last week, overseen by the International Code Council, and this was first reported by Hemp Build magazine. The material was approved as in Appendix 2024 International Residence Code, which governs the U.S. Residential Building Code for 49 out of 50 states. Hawaii has its own deal because it's out there in the ocean. The new code, set to be published formally in 2023, will feature hemp lime, which is hempcrete, under Appendix BA. Specifically, hempcrete was approved as a non-structural wall infill system, similar to cob and straw bale construction, according to the report. The approval applies to 1- and 2-family dwellings and townhouses and should increase the availability of hemp-based building materials, lower the cost, and facilitate greener construction projects around the U.S. Hempcrete is a popular alternative to concrete that is made from a mixture of hemp stalk herds. The herd is that inner white part. If you ever pop a stem open, you see that white styrofoamy stuff. That's the herd. And lime. It creates a fire-resistant, fibrous insulation wall that also acts as a moisture regulator. Additionally, because it is made from hemp, an organic material, hempcrete is considered a carbon sequestering construction material, which further improves its sustainability. Another thing they didn't write, it's also fireproof, fire-resistant. The successful application to certify hempcrete for the IRC was submitted by the U.S. Hemp Building Association after having raised more than $50,000 and working alongside a committee of civil engineers, hemp lime builders, architects, and other experts. Coexist Builds, Anna Konopetskaya, a Pennsylvania-based architect who helped write the application, told Hemp Build magazine that including hemp line in U.S. residential construction codes was of paramount importance. It will allow architects like myself focused on sustainability to specify this product in any municipality across the U.S., Konopetskaya said. While hempcrete will be available to most home construction projects in the U.S., it remains prohibited from commercial projects until at least 2025, when officials are set to renew the International Building Code for commercial buildings. The construction material has long been used in France and more recently in Canada, but federal hemp prohibition in the U.S. kept it out of official building codes for decades, despite its uniquely sustainable properties. So this is just amazing. It sequesters carbon. The hemp will structure and help soil. It's fire resistant. It's a great renewable building material. It's much better than fiberglass and these other petrochemical and mineral-based insulations. And I am just excited, head over heels about this. How about you guys?
I think this is so amazing. And Matthew, it's flame retardant is the actual term. Flame retardant.
Jason just wants you to say that second part.
And it's mold resistant.
Right.
Yes.
Antimicrobial, flame retardant. It's come on, man. Like, the only reason we haven't been doing a lot more with hempcrete is why? Because of subsidies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Because of big.
I have a question
for the building.
Well, at the same time, I mean, it's a heavy lift to be able to use hempcrete as a building thing because of all of the different building codes that we have drafted in all of these different municipalities. I mean, California, you can only build buildings a certain way because of earthquakes, and there's lots of other different things. You know, Florida has hurricanes, and so like
Vallejo has slurricanes.
Oh, Vallejo has fucking trap gods. Yeah, gunshots. All that stuff. I mean, is hempcrete? Does it protect against bullets? Hempcrete?
No, it's not bulletproof. But
okay.
what it does though, it reduces the carbon footprint. in
Yep.
making hempcrete. It reduces what the carbon footprint in making hempcrete versus concrete. And then of course, growing hemp replenishes the soil and cleans the soil and cleans the air. And so growing more of it is helping us just in general. I'm so glad to hear this, and grateful to know that this has been added to the list of building materials. I mean, BMW is already building car parts with hemp, so this just makes sense.
And y'all know that Henry Ford, his first Model T had hemp body panels. There's actually pictures of him striking the trunk with an axe because it would bounce off and not dent. The entire interior was made of hemp fiber, and it was designed to run on hemp fuel seed oil because in the early 1900s, all U.S. farmers were growing hemp. So it was seen as a real easy way for farmers to have fuel for both their farm vehicles as well as their going to town cars.
Yeah.
So he's also not
been around forever.
Yeah. So cool.
he was also a Nazi.
Oh.
That part is totally true and repugnant.
Well, you know, it's like with all things in politics, you can't always make the bad the enemy of the good.
You can't.
Yeah, but we can accept Ukraine refugees, but not Haitian.
Oh, that's a whole nother can of worms. You don't even want to get me going onto that one, Nicole. You do not want me to get going on all of that craziness. So crazy.
Go down that rabbit hole,
But
Jason.
no, I'm definitely not going down that rabbit hole. But I love this hempcrete thing. I think that's one of the things that I really liked about the Farm Bill is I was hoping it was going to create and help bring back manufacturing and infrastructure jobs to the United States. And so this is fantastic news as far as with on the hempcrete being for building materials. Hopefully we can get more hempcrete facilities to actually be producing hempcrete for building, and I can't wait to stop at a local Home Depot sometime soon and buy a bag.
So would you say that under this legislation, Jason, that President Joseph Robinette Biden is building back better?
Well, hold on. Now is this, Matthew, is this a federal bill or is this within a state? Because I imagine it's within a state.
No, it's a federal bill.
It's a federal bill.
It comes from it's an international code council. So this is people that are appointed to this council that serve for a period of years and meet to convene about these subjects. Okay,
so we don't know how much work has to be done on local levels within local municipalities to get hempcrete as an approved building substance. So there still has to be a lot of groundwork to do, but the top heavy work has been done, is what you're saying.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well,
there will still be local building code amendments, and then the other thing will be bank financing, because even though, like for instance, Cobb and Rammed Earth and some of these things are federally and state legal to build with, then by building with them, the banks won't finance you. They call it a non-traditional building. They tend to only finance steel and wooden buildings.
Hemp the world. It is hemp day.
So are you saying that once we have safe banking, that they'll be funding more projects with hempcrete?
Okay, no. First of all,
I'm saying
if you fortify banks with hempcrete, you won't be able to run through them with your car. You won't be able to rob them either. That's what I'm saying, Jason.
That is so ridiculous.
How about we start making these greenbacks out of hemp paper? How about that?
Greenbacks were always made out of hemp paper, Rico. You didn't know that? That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons hemp isn't legal, is because our money's printed on hemp and stops the counterfeiters.
Let's keep it moving. You got? What you got, Jason?
Oh yeah, that's right, everybody.
Coming out of a clubhouse, we got Roz.
What's that? I thought I was going to Nicole first. Am I going to Roz?
No, go to first. It's all good.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Stand by 1 second. I'm probably going to have to hold the phone up to my mic for Roz, but nonetheless, she's a Florida-based entrepreneurial boss lady leading the charge for the ultimate cannabis lifestyle brand, Black Buddha Cannabis. Also, the founder and CEO of Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Coming to the stage next and bringing the heat is none other than the Roz McCarthy. You got to unmute, Roz.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Good morning.
We hear you.
All right, awesome. Hey guys, Roz McCarthy here. So happy to be with you. my article is coming from Marijuana Moment, Mr. Kyle Yeager, and it's really interesting, this article, because I'm actually headed to D.C. tomorrow for Congressional Black Caucus legislative session, where all these different Black legislators throughout the country get together and talk about issues that are pertinent to the Black community. So this one says, majority of D.C. voters support marijuana legalization and oppose the crackdown on unregulated gifting market, poll finds. So in D.C., the voters strongly support marijuana legalization and oppose a crackdown on the cannabis gifting market. So if you guys don't know about the cannabis gifting market, let me tell you a little bit more about it. The survey commissioned by the I-71 committee and conducted by the firm Brilliant Corners Research and Strategies found that 72% of likely voters back legalization and 66% say they specifically support the implementation of the reform law that was approved at the ballot in 2014. That initiative applies low-level possession, personal cultivation, and gifting of for adults 21 and older. But D.C. has been barred from implementing legal recreational sales under a congressional spending bill rider, enabling an unregulated market, with some businesses offering free marijuana as a gift for some purchases, non-cannabis goods and services as a legal. I've been to a festival before where people would buy, literally are buying they're entering into a lottery to get a big 65-inch screen TV, and their entry is they put cash in and they get cannabis back. And so it's literally a gifting program that they have to do because currently there's no infrastructure for a legalized industry there in D.C. According to the poll, 76% of respondents say that they prefer for the district to reform current laws to create a more regulated market that allows for sales, while 19% said that the local government should shut down the gift economy marijuana market. The I-71 committee describes itself as a coalition of citizens, leaders, and stakeholders who are committed to passing equitable, fair, conscious cannabis legalization that prioritize access for all. So let me go through some of the different questions and survey and the results. So 84% said they are concerned with law enforcement action that could put people of color at greater risk of legal repercussions. 70% and 69% said they're concerned about gun violence. Notably, not only is of likely voters attempts by the council to crack down on the unregulated market, the 64% said they also would be less inclined for the candidate who wants to shut down their business. Going further, the key takeaway here: if the council shuts down I-71 stores, it will push the cannabis industry back to the, says Terrence White, I-71 committee. This will lead to more gun violence centered around cannabis sales, with the increase in the number of nonviolent drug offenses interfacing with law enforcement. It's very clear voters do not want these council members to act on the stores. It is not perfect right now, but punishment will only cause more problems. The survey was involved interviews with 10 likely voters from September the 12th. As a wrap up, the House passed the relevant spending bill for fiscal year in July, including the D.C. marijuana prohibition that currently the Democratic Appropriations Committee also admits the rider. Partisan disagreements have prevented that acting on any of its bills so far this year. Congress has until the 30th end of the current fiscal year to pass a product. However, it's lawmakers will pass a short-term continuing resolution that maintains the status quo in the interim as negotiations continue. So the 30th is actually this Friday. So honestly, if they don't pass anything, what the constituents in D.C. are saying is, do not penalize small businesses for their gifting program, and basically they're waiting for Congress to get it right. I'm Roz McCarthy signing off for the State of Cannabis News Hour. Would love to hear your feedback regarding
Roz, it's High at 9 News, Roz.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm so used to saying sorry about that. High at 9, high news at 9. Roz McCarthy here. Would love to hear your feedback.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah. I mean, I just. I mean, so are we saying, Roz, that they're going to try to they're trying to prohibit a crackdown on the unregulated market in DC that they have allowed to grow immensely out of control with their gifting laws?
Yes.
Right.
Well, the whole reason why there's gifting laws is because there's not a regulated operator infrastructure for DC for individuals to be able to have retail or be able to have processing cultivation from an adult use perspective. And so the residents there, their workaround was a gifting program. And this particular survey is basically saying that we've interviewed 115 different possible voters in DC, and city councilmen, if you try to crack down on our gifting program, we're not voting for you. If you try to penalize the gifting program and why it's been set up, we're not supporting this. As a matter of fact, 70% or more support adult recreational use in the District of Columbia. So it really goes back to the fact that, remember, DC is not a state, and so everything that they do is actually supported. It goes through the Senate in regards to different laws and different things that have to go in the books in regards to how they legislate some of their different, some of the laws of the land. And this is one of them.
Well, Roz, I believe it's not the Senate; it's actually the House of Representatives. And I think for anybody wants to kind of understand this, DC has a local city which is in place that operates the city. But if you would consider like a board of supervisors for like a county, I would kind of consider it like that. And that is what the House of Representatives is in relation to DC. Would you agree with that, Roz?
I would agree 100%. I think the reason why we share some of these news stories is, one, this might not be applicable to anybody else throughout the country, but two, that it's still important for us to understand the challenges that are being faced and how, from a legislative perspective, that we're still seeing political games, seeing the political football punted down the field, and we go down a couple yards and we punt it back to you, and the back and forth. And what ends up happening is that people that reside in those cities are not being able to see the full, capabilities and the opportunity of this industry. And it's just really shameful. And if you guys don't know, Washington, D.C., outside of just all of our national monuments and the White House, is people. It's people of color that are predominant in that city that are being left out. And so it's just really sad in a nutshell. And that's why I bring light to this story. There's not a lot that we can do as individuals, but to be able to stand together in solidarity to support those constituents and wanting to have a free, equitable, fair cannabis industry in their city.
Roz, isn't one of the reasons that DC, as far as the city council, made a move to allow for customers to be able to self-declare their patientness is due to the lack of movement that we have experienced from Congress in creating a adult use marketplace in DC?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, when I started on, I mentioned that I'm headed to DC right now. Later, I'm headed to DC later on this afternoon because we're doing an actual community outreach event where we have over 3,000 door hangers that we're putting on the doors of all these constituents. Black families, their doors, their cars, and it basically outlines what you need to do to self-certify in the state, in DC, so that it's free. You don't need, in order for you to go into a dispensary, you need a card in DC. So, because they're all medical dispensaries. And then so we have the QR code. It's on a door knocker. We're putting it on people's doors. We're giving them the information of how to self-certify, what they need to do. And in actuality, if they do the self-certification before September 30th, it certifies them for 2 years, so they don't have to. It's not an annual certification, but it's free. All they have to do is just do an attestation page that says, "Here's my medical condition. Here's why I need to use cannabis," and they'll get their card in the mail. And a lot of people don't know this, and they don't know this is going on. So that's why we'll be doing a ground walking door to door campaign and getting the information out tomorrow from 10 to 1 o'clock.
That is
Big props,
amazing,
man.
Roz.
Big
That is
props.
amazing news. I have a question about this, Roz, about this self-certification program. Now, is this self-certification open to only residents of DC, or can this be happen to anyone that is visiting the DC metro area?
No, it's only residents of DC. So you have to be a resident of DC, and there are some things that you have to upload in order to do that. But you don't have to go and get a physician recommendation.
Do you have to upload your lease?
I don't think you have to upload your lease. I think it's based upon your driver's license. So if I'm not
She have an
mistaken,
updated
it's based
license.
on, you having the address for whatever government identification that you have that's available for this.
You cut out, Roz. Yeah.
There's going to be a bunch of fake IDs. The fake ID market is about to pop in DC.
Oh man. I mean, I think this is great, and I really want to applaud the work that you're doing, Roz, with Minorities for Medical Marijuana with this door knocker campaign. I really like this. It's a true grassroots effort, and that's really great. I have a ton of friends in DC that I know that have always been nervous. Roz, I know one of the number one things that people are always concerned with in the past and have been is there a list? Is the city of or state of, or no, definitely not state, the governance in Washington, D.C. within the city, are they creating a list and documenting all of these people, or are they just taking your paperwork, processing it, and sending you a card?
They're taking your paperwork, processing it. If you make sure that whatever documentation you need to show is of your citizenship in the district, that's important, as well as just being able to attest to whatever that medical condition is, and you're getting your card in the mail. So if anybody knows anyone in DC and they want they want us to go by their house, we don't care. Just DM me, text me, send me a shout out, wherever you are. We're going to be there, but we're specifically going into communities of color, into the Black communities in DC, who really have historically been without information and resources of knowing what's going on. And shout out to National Holistic Healing Center. It's a Black-owned dispensary owned by Dr. Shonda Macias in DC, and they actually was a sponsor to help pay and defray the cost of us doing this. And so we're going to go put our feet to the pavement, and we will be on the ground, going house by house and delivering this information. And also, our door knocker has information about InfraMM. Also, it's Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and so sickle cell is predominant disease that you see in the African American community. So we have information about that, as well as how do you self-certify. So I'm proud of the project. Stay tuned to it. Maybe next week or the next time we talk about DC, we'll give you guys some more updates about what happened.
Oh,
hey, Roz, we gotta roll to the next story, but
shout out to all the pavement pounders out there.
Yeah, real talk. There's nothing more effective than true grassroots going out and knocking on doors, and I love what you're doing. If you could send any links or any information into our team so we can amplify that, please do. I got a ton of people out in DC. That's where I'm from, and I'll shoot that out to them immediately. Thank you for what you're doing. Much love.
Yes, thank you, Roz. Thank you, Roz. We appreciate all of the work that you're doing on this so much.
Absolutely. So let's keep it rolling. Up next, our next correspondent does it all. She's a patient plant medicine advocate and founder of the Purple Plant Magic. When not handling business, Roz McCarthy's right hand on the left coast over here for M4MM. She's Power 88 Las Vegas's Encyclopedia Wednesday mornings, and has been an outspoken supporter of Purple Lives Matter initiatives in Clark County throughout the years. Bringing us home today, it's Nicole Fawn. What you got for us?
Oh, thank you so much, Rico, for that introduction. So today I have a story coming out of England. Cannabis smokers could lose passports and driver's licenses under tough penalties. Possession of cannabis soared in Hertfordshire throughout the lockdowns. But as the UK recovers from the impact of coronavirus, offending has fallen below pre-pandemic levels. The government is currently consulting on tougher penalties that could see recreational drug users lose their passports and driver's licenses. It comes as the latest Home Office figures show that crimes of possession of cannabis have fallen by 28% to 1,621 crimes recorded in the year ending March 2022. Before the pandemic, in the year ending March 2020, Hertfordshire police recorded 2,018 crimes of possession of cannabis. The following year, after lockdown restrictions were introduced, that rocketed by 11% to 2,241 offenses, before plummeting last year to 20% below pre-pandemic figure. That is probably because police were more likely to stop people during the pandemic, for example, on suspicion of breaching lockdown rules, and that may have led to officers finding cannabis on more people than during a normal year. But data from the Crime Survey for England and Wales shows that the pandemic did not disrupt the drug trade. In fact, around 6% of adults aged between 18 and 59 smoked cannabis during the pandemic, the equivalent of around 1.8 million adults. Separate court figures show that during the calendar year 2021, 312 people convicted of possession of cannabis, up from 231 the previous year. It comes as laws are changing in certain parts of the world, with nations including Canada, Mexico, South Africa, Georgia, and some American states legalizing recreational use. Germany is currently in the process of changing the law to allow the controlled distribution of cannabis among us. Meanwhile, the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, launched the London Drugs Commission earlier this year to examine the effectiveness of drug laws on cannabis. Mr. Khan first announced the review while he was in Los Angeles on a visit to see firsthand the impact on the city since it legalized cannabis in 2016. A spokesperson for the mayor said that at the time, we know that we'll never be able to simply arrest our way out of the problem, which is why we continue to work on schemes that provide young people with support and education, rather than simply putting them through the criminal justice system, with the aim of diverting them away from drug use and crime for good, end quote. Data from the Crime Survey for England and Wales shows that more than a third of adults aged 18 to 59 have smoked cannabis at some point in their lives, the equivalent of about 12 million people. Supporters of legalization claim cannabis is less harmful than alcohol and that it would take the trade out of hands of criminal gangs, free up police time, and create a new and lucrative source of tax for the government. However, opponents point to the detrimental impact of the drug, particularly on mental health, and believe legalization would not break up drug gangs, but would cause more people to become dependent on cannabis and possibly lead them to harder drugs. This is typical reefer madness propaganda. I mean, it's like they took the wording right out of the playbook. Still going strong almost 100 years later. It's such a shame. But while some nations are moving towards legalization, the UK has taken steps in the opposite direction in recent times. In 2001, cannabis was downgraded from Class B to Class C, effectively decriminalizing the drug. A 2005 Home Office report estimated that 199,000 police hours were saved as a result. However, in 2007, the drug was made a Class B substance again, against the advice of the Advisory Council on the Misuse of Drugs. One of the acts of Liz Truss's government was to refuse formal permission to allow Bermuda to enact a law to legalize and regulate cannabis, Bermuda being one of the colonies in the Caribbean of England. Bermuda has announced its intention to press ahead with the law change regardless. This is a shame. Police policy going in reverse is not good in this case. A Home Office spokesperson said, "We have no plans to decriminalize drug possession. Our approach remains clear. We must prevent drug use in our communities, support people through treatment and recovery, and tackle the supply of illegal drugs. The decriminalization of drugs in the UK would not eliminate the crime committed by the illicit trade, nor would it address the harms associated with drug dependence and the misery that this can cause to families and communities. We are committed to reversing the trend of drug use and recently opened a public consultation on a new, bold approach to tackling drug possession." It saddens my heart to hear this type of news come out of England. I did not know that they backpedaled and changed the classification for cannabis in the recent years. And so I'd love to hear what my correspondents have to say about this story. This is Nicole Buffon reporting for High at 9 News. Love to hear what you have to say.
I mean, when I was just out there, Nicole, I did know that you could lose your driver's license for consuming cannabis and getting behind the wheel, and they just basically they can just take it if they believe so. But I had no clue about the passport now, and to me, like, the passport is far more valuable than a driver's license in terms of your ability to access the global world.
I mean, isn't the United Kingdom, aren't they ground zero for draconian laws in the first place?
Yeah, they have no Bill of Rights.
They're going backwards. It doesn't make sense.
So are we blaming this on King
Brexit?
Charles?
I think
Because the
blaming
Queen
it on
didn't do
Prince
this.
Andrew.
Yeah,
This
let's.
is Prince Andrew's fault.
Pervert. He's a pedophile. So I really think that that this is just sad for patients and the movement forward of being able to have access to this plant. And the conversation is just moving in the wrong direction.
And the information is clear from studies done in Portugal, studies done in Colorado, studies done in California that access to cannabis lowers opioid use, lowers drinking, lowers DUIs, lowers domestic and spousal abuse and violence, and lowers violent crime in general. So there's actually scientific peer-reviewed studies out there that show that cannabis is actually a healing force for our communities.
And it's flame retardant.
Yes, sir. Not fireproof.
And not bulletproof yet. I heard somebody making a comment
That was
earlier
me.
that
was me. Bulletproof
vest.
I mean, if they put some steel inside to support the hempcrete, could it be bulletproof, Nicole?
I don't know. That would be a question for Nicole West.
If it was thick enough, if it was thick enough, if you had like 8 or 10 inches of hempcrete, it probably actually is bullet resistant or bullet retardant.
When you call it bullet insulation, because it would just insulate it, wouldn't it? It would just basically travel through and stop. It would insulate it
to your body, right? Yeah, to your inner organs. Yeah.
Ooh, so you can get shot with a bullet dipped in hemp, and you will probably be free of infection.
Yeah, that's definitely not happening. But nonetheless, this was a great show today. Thank you guys all. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us today, every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters, to the haters for still talking about us. Huge thank you to our sponsors, LAXCC and Weavers, for helping us keep the lights on. And thank you to our correspondents for being fucking amazing. And thank you to Cannabis for giving us a reason to all do this. And thank you to 3 is 4 for helping us create a space in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us.
Thanks.
You are tuned in to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebs and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and enthogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck, Rico Lamitte, and Nicole West, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Thank you for getting high at 9 with us.